Namaste and welcome to this program on Guide to Value Parenting. So let us start with our prayer and please feel free to join me. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Welcome, dear friends, on this episode on value parenting. This topic is very interesting for me because of my educational experiences and especially dealing with smaller children and parents. And there, whatever I had grasped in my direct experience, and then learning from Master's voice and various other literatures, the science of the human development, fulfillment, and its importance and role from the perspective of a parent. That made this journey very interesting and very fulfilling. So today, I want to take you through a journey of value parenting. And for that, I invite all the parents. I'll keep repeating as the people keep joining us. I would request all of you to have a little pen and paper with you, and so that you can make some notes and you can work along. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see most of you, so but I will pretend to see you. So you can join me, and it will be nice if you have a paper and pen so you can work along, and that would make this learning a little bit fruitful further. So let me start this journey from a very basic concept of why this parenting becomes important. And today I'm going to look at it from a journey of fulfillment. In a very, I'll try to give it it can't be too much in 1 hour, but at least let me, if I can at least sketch a roadmap for a parent and share certain solutions and highlight certain issues, what typically today's parents are facing, I would think that I have done my duty for now. So to start this journey, the parenting, the first question which comes to the mind of a parent is, when you become parent, then what? What is that which differentiate a person before a parent and after a parent? See, the important thing is suddenly when you take a role of a parent, some changes do happen in the psyche. We suddenly become kind of more responsible, if I may say, okay, for ourselves. And we find that our lifestyle changes and we are responsible towards our children, our child. We suddenly develop a feeling that now I have to look after somebody. And in the meantime, you know, in that quest, in that journey, and many times we give more importance to the child and we start to lose our focus. And that is the, I would say, seesaw, and that is the kind of a balancing act which is required. And let us look at it from that perspective. So first important thing comes to set a goal. What do I, like, as a parent, what are my expectations, what are my goals? So if I have to ask you this question, can you all just pen down maybe a word or two what do you want your child to become in future, and what are your expectations from them? I would love to do this session from the child's perspective, but today let us do it from the parental perspective. So even if any youngsters are here, they can do it thinking them as the parents, so that they can enjoy this journey to understand what goes in the mind of a parent. So what do you want? If this question is asked to you, and I am open, if you can write down, you can write it through comments or you can send it to me in whatever manner. So I would love to see your answers to this. What do you want our children to become in future, and what are your expectations from them? It can be a combined answer, and I'm going to share with you what normally people tell, and I have tried to summarize those answers and present to you. So if I look at it, most of the people look at this futuristic vision for a child from a very different outlook, but the expectation which they have in their heart is different. So I can wait for a minute, half a minute or a minute, and if I can find, I have some 13, 14 people here online. So if any one of you would like to just write the answers, or else then I'll start showing you what I have gained and what I have gathered from my previous experiences of workshops. So if this question is asked, what do you want from your child to become in the future? So if you want him to study, if you want him to do XYZ, what do you want? What is your projection for a child? And be realistic, please. Don't be politically correct. Because in politically correct, then the realism gets hampered. When I said don't be politically correct, when people have immediate tendency of saying that, hey, I want my child to be like, just do whatever he wants. Well, in the fact is that that will be not considered a proper parenting. Because as a parent, you are responsible, and the child does not know which line to take, how to judge his aptitude, how to understand the right and wrong, and how to look at the circumstances of the survival, and all of that adds up to the story of goal setting. So a child cannot be left alone in that journey. So our duty. So I get one from then is Sister Devasmita. She says, I want my child to be a good human being. Okay, I want my child to be a good and kind human being. That is Rashmi Sudha. Very good. I think I have a different kind of parents here. So your child can be good, but if he's not good at all in any of the studies, I'm sure you will not like it. So then what happens? So please let the answers keep flowing, and I will also continue in this journey. So if I take this journey a little bit, Rajesh brother says to be a good human being in whatever he or she becomes. Excellent. So the priorities have shifted. Excellent, Rajesh. I think that is a very a kind of a comprehensive answer. So I have a different kind of a parents here, and well, I'm not too surprised, because even though the forum is international, but I know the quality of parent who take time to come for these sessions, they have already have certain orientation. So welcome. Thanks for your answers, and let it come. Usually, if I what I have summarized from what the parents expect, the kind of expectations is that my child should be a doctor, a teacher, singer, or an artist. So basically, singer and artist also have got a little lower uh, expectation from category, but doctors and engineers and those kind of things are more. But that is a very generic. That's how you make them study. That is how you allow them to choose subjects. But yes, there were few who said, like our people here also have said, I want them to be a happy being. So if you look at this, first, our when we ever say the goal setting, it is always in terms of a profession. What I want to be is a profession. And it is genuine. Why? Because we have like been programmed to think that that is the only way to survive, which is important because we have to survive in this world and maintain a kind of lifestyle. And for that lifestyle, we need some financial security and stability. And for that, we need some profession. So, whenever we think of goal setting, what do we want for my child? It's obviously the studies, the academics, the whole preparation goes towards certain kind of professions. And if the professions are not prime for a profession in terms of money, in terms of the returns, then we add them as hobbies. So this is what is the projection. And then ultimately there is a flavor of happy being. But what answers today I'm getting, they are, I would say, much more beautiful in the sense that good human being in whatever he becomes. So, which means a good doctor and a good human being. And Falguni sister has said to achieve their highest potential and give back in society. That's a wonderful. That means now you are including the gratitude element. So, if you look at the holistic approach towards goal setting, and I'm very happy for these answers, here we are able to look at that we are expecting our children to be more than professionals. We are expecting our children, and that is a truth. If we want only doctors, and that is the catch, if the parents think only in terms of professionalism, then they may miss out the humanistic approach of the child. And when we club these two things, then the real magic starts happening. Because becoming a professional requires certain discipline, certain commitment, certain drive in life. Because being happy, we still have not evolved as a society to understand the motivations coming from a spiritual lifestyle, sorry, from a spiritual outlook. And this is the important factor which we have to understand. Hence, today also we need certain motivation from a professional outlook, and there's nothing wrong in it. So when I say goal setting, the normal condition, even if I say, like that's why I said politically correct answers, but in our hearts and in our mind, there is a difference. The heart may say, I want my child to be happy, but the mind says, hey, better get a good marks in math and science. Otherwise, you can't be a doctor, because that is how we have been programmed. But what is important is that we understand that these two have to be merged. What I am forcing for my child to become and what my expectations from my child are that he should be happy, both must merge in our goal setting. And that is how we must program our children too. Let us not pressurize them for something, because today professions can change. There is no hard and fast rule in today's society. One thing I can, you may disagree with many things in the society today, but one thing is there, that options are too many for the children. Whatever they do, they can succeed and they can find fulfillment. But the fulfillment aspect, if it is not drilled into them, then they will not achieve it. But now let us look at these elements. Now, when you say they want to be a good doctor, and then you say he should also be a happy doctor. So, a happy being, a fulfilled being, as Karishma said, a self sufficient being, and a good doctor. If I combine these two, then I look at it in these areas that there are certain attributes which are common. If he's, for example, suppose he's a dedicated child. Now, dedication is a critical element, an attribute for a happy being. Every happy person is dedicated in life. He can be anything. He can be a dedicated son, a good husband and wife, a good brother and sister, good employer employee. Dedication is a very important element. And the same thing is important for your profession also. if you are a get dedicated artist, dedicated professional like doctors, engineers, or lawyers. So if you look at those attributes, that is a common factor. So from the goal setting, it is very important for us to now look at the qualities and attributes that we would like in our children. So let me give you 1 minute. Now mention, now can you please pen down and say what are those common attributes that you would like your child to have? What is that attributes that we must build into our children or extract from them or blossom? So that is the next step. So we have understood now the goal setting part of it, in which we looked at the professional as well as non-professional element, a humanistic and the professional, how both are important. But for them to have the proper balance, there are certain attributes which are common for both. So what are those attributes, the qualities that you would like in your children? So let us pen it down. So welcome to write. So as I continue to say that, I have those who have joined us recently, I would just say, please pick up a paper and pen along with you, because this session I want to do a kind of, I'm just trying it out for the first time, that can the workshop model work in this electronic and distant method. So if you all can join me, that will be great with pen and paper. So that way you can also write down. So you're free to write what qualities or attributes would be like in our children. Now we got it. Kindness and gratitude. Excellent. Thank you, Falguni. So you have kindness and gratitude. Sorry, Debsimita, I couldn't read that. Fral, I don't know what does it mean. Sorry, I think it's a spelling mistake. And as I said to you, I will show you what I have gathered as the maximum answers through my workshops, and I have summarized them, that I will flash it after this. So as you are looking at it, let me also show you what we have found, the attributes people are looking for. It is discipline, honest, smart, compassionate, and kind. So I'm not saying these are the only attributes, but I'm just sharing with you that what kind people are expecting, and it can be different, like you are mentioning right now, self-confidence, kindness, gratitude, all of that does matter. Okay, I have got some more compassion, kindness, happiness, absolutely right. So now look at the journey. So now we understand how to set up a goal. I'm being a little fast. And then we look at, for that goals, certain qualities, attributes are must to be nurtured in our children. And then now you have listed those attributes. Now these attributes, we have to see that it gets implemented in the parents. And now the problem, obvious problem comes, and a very honest question would be, what is stopping us from instilling these? So when I say, I'm not saying that you are not doing it, please don't misunderstand me. But practically speaking, if you look at our children and look at the environment, then you may say that I'm trying, but children are influenced by school, by the society, and blah, blah. There are so many factors. So the next question comes, if we have to install these values, now, frankly speaking, all the attributes that people have mentioned, they are actually called as values. They are our innate qualities. So they are not far off, and every one of us are familiar with it. So that is why I'm not showing you anything new that you are totally unaware of. So it is a nice recap for all of us. At the same time, a relook at life as a parent. So now when we understand that what attributes and qualities we need in our children, so the next obvious question is, so what are the challenges that we face in instilling these qualities in our children? So now think of prime three or four or challenges that are in today's time a parent is facing. What are the five top challenges as a parent in the present age? So, what do you think is stopping you or hindering you, so to say, not stopping you, hindering you from getting the full potential of your children and not allowing you to have that kind of attributes in our children? And obviously the reasons are genuine, so it's just a matter of highlighting it so that we can understand what our challenges are and then how to handle them. So what are the top five challenges as a parent in the present age? So what do you think is, and especially in the present era when the life is different, when the whole equation, the parenting is no longer same what it used to be. So if you are welcome to continue to write. Okay, Sharda here says peer pressure, digital influence, and the education system. Wow, peer pressure. I would love to discuss that when we have more time. Digital influence and educational system. Yes, actually, all three are very good points. Thank you. Anybody else? So let it come and let me show you what we have gathered so far. So the five challenges, the first main challenge is not having a nuclear family, sorry, having a nuclear family. So when I say what is nuclear family, it is, I'm sure if you go back, I have seen from Caribbean to India and from Indonesia and everywhere else, we all had an exposure of a joint and an extended family. Uh, I would say at least 20 years back, it was very common. And now it has started becoming more and more nuclear, and which is not in our hands. So that is the first challenge. And there is a lot of things which, plus and minuses are everywhere, pros and cons are everywhere. But what we have found that the joint family or an extended family system does have certain innate inbuilt benefits, and because of which a children development of a child becomes easy comparatively. And in the nuclear family, the whole burden lies in the parents, on the shoulders of the parents alone. So they have to be their children friend, they have to be their parent, they have to be the grandparent, they have to be their toys, so they have to be everything. But in the extended family, you had so many people to share these roles, and the child never feels out of place, out of, he is always surrounded with somebody. So the burden, the stress levels were very less as a parent in joint family system. You will not know also when your child grew up and became big in a joint family environment. But in the nuclear family, every second you are conscious and you have to be alert. So that is a one challenge which is very much understood. Second, second is cultural conflict. You know, uh, in the earlier, like when I talk about earlier, let me talk to you, say parents' age or grandparents' age. The trouble is that time when the children grew up, they grew up in one environment. So that is what the cultural conflict refers to. That today the child is growing up in a very multicultural environment. And today we are no longer, the whole world has become a kind of a village. So they are no longer in one environment. When you step out of the house, your neighbor could be from another part of the world or another part of the country, and that has a different cultural systems, they have different customs, costumes. So it could be totally contrasting, which can be healthy, but it also creates certain conflict in parenting style because the parent want to, you know, they choose to have their style of doing it. So that is cultural conflict. And the third is technology. I'm sure most of people, even Gita is writing servants of technology rather than being the masters of technology, of course. So here is the point C, technology. And this technology obviously has become, such an issue that neither you can leave it nor you can take it. It is unavoidable, so you have to handle it. You just have to know how to manage it. And I think just like she's saying, we have to learn somehow to become the master of the technology rather than become the servants of it. So technology is a real pain, and there are a lot of research going on in terms of how much technology exposure is good, and how much at one time a child should be exposed, at what age, how much is allowed. So all of that has been done for, I would say, for a couple of decades now, and more or less people are coming to the similar conclusions everywhere. So maybe a time permits, then we can look at that in more detail. But certainly technology has become a problem, and especially for the parents, even I find sometimes challenging to get into a new technology. But today's children, when they are like very small, they seem to be so comfortable with any new technology. They can just pick it up without without blinking their eyes. They can unlock your phones, they can play with your laptop. We would be thinking and they would do it because they are born in that environment. So obviously there is a challenge, and the influence of technology is very, very, strong on them. And next is information explosion. This challenge is also very, very big because today everybody seems to know everything. Today you can't tell a child a statement without yourself being comfortable and confident about it, because a child can come back and say, Dad, you're wrong, here is the real answer. So if you can't play around with the word unless you can convince the child that what is written has to be inferred in a different manner. So information is so much in hand that today even people are sometimes getting at this notion that they can get away from teachers. They don't need teachers, they don't need anybody, and which is creating a very personality disorders, if I may use the word. Pardon me if that connotations, I don't want any negative connotation, but it certainly has an issue on the personality development of the child, because they have stopped interacting much. They have started depending on uh, technology and apps, and the problem is their human interactions are so weak that they think they know everything, but the moment they have to talk to somebody and deal with each other, it just burns them off. It just, they reach their peak very fast. So there are certain unfortunate, with this technology and information explosion. So that is a very big challenge for the parents. And E is the both parents are professionals. I'm just throwing this main, because the working parents, and for various reasons, both have, mostly parents are working. So when I say professionals, that's why I'm calling it, because somebody has a different debate today that mothers are highly working parents. Of course, homemaker is itself a huge job, but I call it professionals in the sense that mothers take care of the child. So that won't be a parenting challenge. That would be a joy for the child to have at least one parent along with them. But when the both parents have to go out and work, that becomes a challenge because they can't provide that quality time with their child and all that. So that becomes an issue. So now we look at these five, if I may say. So let me just take it: nuclear family, cultural conflict, technology, information explosion, and both professional parents as professionals. So now, what is the solution? If I have to really put it together quickly and say, okay, now we understand, we have set the goal for our child, we have looked at, you know, how to interpret that goals into values, because that is the quality attributes which we need our in children. But to implement and infuse those things, we have these as a challenges, and these are really glaring challenges. And I think we can do workshops for even on just on challenges to discuss. But that time I would request you all to join me a little face on, then we can talk about it. But yes, so here is a challenge. Now we look at, yes, now let us look at it. And please, and these are not the only challenges, okay? That's why I said to you here, because of the technological issues, we don't have an opportunity to list out all that what you can say and then discuss one by one. So here I have just brought out to you the major which people have been telling. So I have put it up here. And certainly these are not comprehensive list by no means, and they are just indicative, and you are free to add on it so that we can look at it from a different perspective, and we can even find time to discuss them. And that is how we can consult and see how we can, overcome these challenges. So now if you look at the journey in a summary, from a really from an outlook, a broad outlook, to understand, now we understand challenges. So now how do we overcome it? What is the means and how is the best way to find, how do we overcome these challenges? What is the solution? What can be the key solution? Now if I really look at it, and I have told you, the first we realized that to develop a vision for my child, I needed certain attributes. And incidentally, those attributes which we summarize it are the real solution also. And those solutions we simply call as values. If I can say it in one sentence, the solution for today's problem is human values. Development, infusion, inculcation, blossoming of human values. That is the only way out. And through that, not only we will be able to save the future generations, not only we will be able to guide our children, but we ourselves would find great fulfillment in that process. Because when I start teaching love to my child, when I start teaching sharing to my child as a parent, that attribute hits me first. Only when I am infused with that value, I can give it to my child. In my workshops, I usually make this statement that, can you give me anything that you do not have? Can you give your child something that you don't have? So if you want your child to be a fulfilled being or an happy being, as you said it before, can he become a happy if you are not happy? If he sees his parent, and trust me, children can smell you. Even if you pretend in front of them, they would know what is happening behind. They may not be able to express it, that is a different story, but they will know. So unless and until we are happy, we cannot pass happiness. Unless and until we are fulfilled, we cannot guide them towards fulfillment. And the only way out becomes by becoming that. And in simple words, as Gita is saying, parents need to be role models. I totally agree. Because the best way to inculcate values, the best way to infuse and impart values is through role modeling. And that is the quest, and that is our journey. And that is why I said the values are such a beautiful tools that it not only will help you, but it help them. So if you become a parent in the real sense, when you start dedicating your life, contributing towards the growth of your child, but you understand that the process is values, then that value will start hitting us first. before it goes to the child. And so first our fulfillment will happen. So it is very beautiful. Whatever you give to your child, actually it is coming double and multifold to us back. So a parenting becomes a wonderful experience. If you really look at it from a very simple way, it becomes an easiest and a most fulfilling experience for self development and self fulfillment. So I would say all the people who feel parenting as, oh my god, a chore, a kind of an adjustment, I have to, like, if you hear the statements, they'll say parenting makes you change lifestyle, parenting has a lot of sacrifices. See, those terms indicate that we have still not understood parenting. Parenting is not something that makes you change for wrong. It is actually making you come back to your own self. What you are doing, if you are not same before parenting, that means it was not what you're supposed to be. So parenting kinds of realigns you back into your grooves, and there you say, this is actually me. Only then you can have the child of your caliber and quality. Otherwise the child will have a different personality than you are expecting, because you have not become you first. So if you look at it, parenting from that perspective, so parenting is not a sacrifice. It is not a journey. I'm talking to you from a parental perspective, not from the child's perspective. So parenting should not be looked at as an effort of, my God, I'm doing something extraordinary. A parent is sacrificing his life, or parent is doing some kind of, extraordinary effort to bring a child up. Well, that is because we have lost the alignment. So we are coming back to that. So parenting makes you come back home. Parenting makes you have a quality time. Parents will make you to come back and introspect, makes you humble, patient. Imagine how much of patience is required when the child asks you the same question 10 times, 20 times, and you have to keep responding to that. And that is why parenting becomes a wonderful chance of this transformation, because it is actually realignment back to your real self. And hence, you can call parenting as a most beautiful personal transformational experience. But in my outlook, I feel it is actually taking us back into our original groove, which is our real self, because that is how we project on our children. I may be doing something which may not be appropriate or considered to be right, but I want my child not to do that. You know, everybody says, I want my child to be away from these vices. Oh, I have faced hardship in life. I don't want my child to face hardship. Why? The hardship is not bad, but somehow the experiences in with attached to the hardship, that has made you feel a little bitter, and you don't want the child to have that. And unfortunately, we have forgotten how to we get rid of that bitterness, but we just want to avoid the situation for the child, not the experience for the child. And the experience lies in our hearts. And that is where parenting becomes a very important and most crucial, experience to hold. Now let us take a step forward now. Now, since we have understood values, and values are very broad, today I'm not looking into values per se, but we look at some action items for us. So let me ask you another question. We can take following actions to create value-based environment to provide an ideal environment for our children. So if I ask you this question, that now we have understood what we want from our children, and it's our journey. So we have to transform ourselves, become a role model, so that my children can learn and enjoy and grow and become a happy child, a fulfilled child who knows how to handle all these challenges, be it technology, be it information explosion, or whatever. And then they will also study, they will also find professions. There's no problem. So I need to create that environment, or that kind of. So what actions can I take as a parent? I would like you all to pen it down. So I welcome you again. Write down what do you think and giving you clear answers. Please give me action items which you, I, everybody can practice. That what do you think you can do at home today? Tomorrow, like tonight onwards, I'll say, okay, today onwards, let us put these into practice so that I help myself and my children in this journey. Children are gifts from the Lord, hence challenges for us for our personal goals. That is a perspective, and nice perspective that too. So let us, please help me to list out the actions you would like to take from today to create that environment of values at home, in your environment, so that your children are able to generate those qualities and attributes that you expect them to aspire them. So let us start. So I will give you another few seconds if anybody has any contributions. Or let me give you an example so that maybe it will trigger some thoughts on you. So what we can do now. So let us become a little bit proactive and look at it. So let me give you one. So first is mandatory family time. As I said to you, I have Auntie Geeta, you are the best. She has, because I know she's a parenting teacher also, so her answers have to be right. So your first point matches, and that is mandatory family time. And as I've mentioned to you before, these points that I am mentioning here are that's the summation of what I have heard and gathered in various workshops. So they are no way uh, comprehensive, they are no way all inclusive. You can add more, but just indicative. Please use them as an indicative markers, and they are not in a priority. So please don't think that that is the first and that is the second. No. So I would like to keep it open, and that's what I'm mentioning here. So let us take first mandatory family time. Okay, here I'm getting some feedback more. So you have to become more loving, caring, understanding, compassionate towards them. That is approach. Okay, fair enough. Nital, so you are saying my approach towards children should improve. And for that, find me a word. You are right. And Devi says no screen or mobile when family time. Okay, so you want to remove the gadgets during the family time. Excellent. So you are talking about more quality time. Excellent. What else? I'm getting some very good points here. So welcome. Uh, no, he says only positive language. Yes, and that actually gels with what Neeta was saying. Okay, one dinner together. Excellent. Actually, this is a very good activity when you say mandatory family time. In the present family system, nuclear, this is one good habit which Sister Geeta has mentioned here. People make it like, one meal a day together we'll have as a family, mandatory, because breakfast is not sure, lunch is not sure, because people are working, running, somebody leaves too early. So so practically if we can meet is only dinner time. So that time we tend to make excuses that I have friend and this that. So but as a more important priority, if we give and make it a mandatory thing, that okay, whatever happens, at least dinner we have together. And once in a while if you have to go, that is different, that is not, the exceptions are different. But as a rule, I like that in a mandatory family time to have dinner together. That could be one action item. Excellent. Thank you very much. And so we got some couple of very good things. So you have language, you have technology, like no screen time, you have praying together as family, very good. And daily dinner and praying together. Falconi also says praying together. Karishma said praying together. Excellent. I think I'm getting some wonderful thoughts here. So let me flash now what we have gathered, and you will see there are a lot of similarities. Regulated TV time, which is basically your technology part, as you're saying, when to have, when not to have. So people have been talking about it that during the eating time we'll not have TV, or we will regulate TV time to say age wise from 15 minutes, half an hour to 1 hour, depending on the age during a day. And sometimes in certain days no, because of studies, and weekend we can give more. So all that combination is regulated television time. Regulated technology use, which is your cell phones, iPads, playing games. So all of that is technology. So technology is not just a computer; it is basically anything to do with a screen, screen time. So you can look at that. Then you have family service projects, and this is a very important element, which people usually do not think, but I'm happy to mention it, because recently also, if you look at the Western countries, they have a mandatory service hours for children to obtain before they can be graduated from their schools also. So uh, they are trying to give children that exposure to service and gratitude towards society. Hence, that element has gone into the system. Uh, our master in our schools, this is part of our daily activity. We have to find service. So, as a family, they decide, some people decide like that, that okay, once in a week or once in a month, we will make some sandwiches or whatever and do some service project together. Or sometimes even like on birthdays we'll go and do service, or on some occasion we'll do so family service project, and that becomes an important element. And this is a very key area, which not only builds a bonding, which also gives them a different insight and an outlook towards life, because children are exposed now out of their comfort zone. Fortunately for our children, they are blessed to be born in a time when they are, the starting itself is in a good stead. So they don't see that much of real challenges in life. So they tend to remain in a different level of thought process. These service projects allows them to come down to the reality of life. They start seeing different versions of life, and they start appreciating and becoming more grateful for what they have in their lives. So family service projects are a wonderful method to inculcate values in our children. And last point was quiet time. We have this complaint, mom, I'm bored. How many of you have heard that statement from your children? I'm bored. And parents really get attached to that. They get really touchy. Oh my God, my child is bored, so let us do something. Trust me, if you ask me as a professional, I'll tell you it is good that the children get bored, and don't help them when they are bored, because children are genius. They can find something or other to get them out of this boredom, and that is the quality time. So for them, a quiet time is very important. That is, the quiet time is not only that with the boredom part of it, but quiet time is also to shut up. Everything should be shut down. It could be, I don't want to use the word meditation, it may sound different to different people, but it is important that our children are exposed to silence. There is too much of noise 24/7 around us, either through television or through gadgets or through the normal gossips. So even if we are not gossiping verbally, if we are chatting on the phone, that is also a gossip going on. So there is too much of clatter and chatter in the mind. So it is important for us to practice this quiet time. And quiet time is just being silent, is no big activity. Just sit quiet, that's all. It doesn't mean sleep, eh? Sleep is not the same as quiet time. Some people say I'm quiet when I'm sleeping. That's not the quiet time. The quiet time is when you're awake and quiet. So that is like an unwinding, when you reboot your computer, the whole system shuts down, and only then the rejuvenation happens. So for the body and the mind to be rejuvenated, it needs to shut down. But if you continuously feed the body and the mind, then you're not allowing your body and the mind to rejuvenate and to find new vistas. So that is where the quiet time is very important, and nature helps it. So if you are blessed to be around nature some way, then that is the best way to be quiet, because nature will make you quiet. If you look at huge mountains, you will go quiet. Look at a fish tank, look at aquarium, you will become quiet. Concentrate on any flower or any garden, you will become quiet. Nature has a very beautiful, method, medicine for all of us. So practicing quiet time is important. Now you do it with the help of nature, or you do it shutting yourself in a room, or shutting everything around you and just allowing yourself to unwind. There is nothing special to be done. If you need something to focus on, then use your breath. Just think of your breath, look at your breath, and it'll calm you down. So reducing the whole mindset is very, very key. Okay, so that is the actions which I feel, we can just jump in and take it. Okay, and let me read if anything new has come. Each moment sees the opportunity to impart moral values. Absolutely important. That is in terms of the role model. And incidentally, that point can only happen. Let me flash it for everybody, because it is important for parents to see that every opportunity, and for that, the parents have to be in tune with what they are doing. They have to be understanding that life is not, hit and trial. It is actually a rhythm. So if we know how to maximize it, then we have to understand that every moment is important. And hence, seizing that important opportunity will not only help us, but it will be a great boon to our children. So thank you for this beautiful heading. Second was family time that we discussed, limit phone and TV and other digitals that we have already mentioned, and less social media. Well, that is same as technology and TV time. So thank you all for this portion. So it's a very good. So now we have certain action items, and I hope, uh, I would love that if you can, look at these points and share with your experiences, if you have already implemented them, and if not, then try to implement them, and then tell us how you felt, so that we can share with everybody. See, the larger community we are able to share, so your experiences will help somebody else to grow. Somebody else's challenge and somebody else has solution. So it's my pleasure to put them together. So here I'm not coming with all the solutions or all the problems. I'm just an intermediary who is trying to join these two. So whatever I gain and gather from you, I'm giving a platform for it to share. So welcome to share your experiences and journey about it. Okay. So if I have to summarize it, and let me, yeah, let's take this. So if I have to summarize it, the challenges in value parenting. Now to do all of that, let me give you this is a perspective I'm sharing with you, that what we found, that why does this happen, why do these challenges really become challenges. Okay, let us look at it from that perspective. So one is default parenting. As people would always say that, why do I need to talk about parenting, why do I need to learn parenting? There's a very big question. It is because it's not that we know or don't know about parenting. It is because many things we have learned is a very default function in life. So if I give you a simple example, uh, if you look at, when I look at my father and my grandfather, for example, let me take two generations and then you can better understand. If my grandfather's father, the great grandfather, told him something, there was no way in earth or heaven that it would be refused. And they would do it without blinking, without even thinking the logic of it. But when my grandfather told something to my father, he would do it. But he may feel a little bit inside his heart, yeah, why? And if there is an occasion, he may raise his dissent or dissatisfaction through his behavior, through his expressions, but still the deed will be done. When it came to my time, if my father said something to me, I would do it, but still ask him that why. And he'll say, do it. Okay, I'll do it, but I'm just asking why. So basically, I started questioning. But today, when I tell my child, for example, something, the child, before he moves his limbs, the first question from his mouth will be, why? That is the change. And many times, what we have found is that the parents are puzzled as to, I didn't question my father, why is he questioning me? But they don't understand that to teach you, there was an extended family who was able to pass on that logics, and you had that patience to wait for their understanding to descend. But today, the child does not have that kind of patience, neither they have the environment to learn from. And it's very obvious for a child now, because we have given them that false sense of information explosion in front of them. So they have a false sense of knowledge that they think they know. So they have a right to ask questions. So then they ask you as to why. And the problem here comes because the parent had never questioned. And if the parent has not done his homework to find out why they did, if they don't have the cultural pride, that knowledge, that self-esteem to pass on, then they have only one answer: I'm saying so. And that unfortunately does not work with our children today. So this default parenting is that when you know what to do, but you are not able to tell your child why. You feel that it is right, but you don't know what to say. You look at your children dressed up and make up in different way. In your heart, you know it is not correct, but you just don't know how to explain it and how to justify that they are wrong path. They will have to face difficulties tomorrow. So that is why it's called default parenting. And solution, just learn. Make an attempt to find out why you did what you did. If you look at second, inability to see parenting goal as a means of self-fulfillment. And this I have really hampered a little bit before also, that we are not able to relate parenting as our journey. We are not able to define and clearly indicate that parenting is my role, is my fulfillment. It is not an obligation on our child. It is not a sacrifice that a parent does, is doing for the sake of somebody else. Actually, what I'm doing is for my fulfillment. And I have chosen this path of parenting. That's it. So for making financial gains, you have profession. For making self-fulfillment, you have parenting. So it is one of the tools that you use, but it could be the most important one. So inability to see parenting goal as a means of self-fulfillment. Over dependence on our experience. What it means is that sometimes we are rigid, that just because I know it was right in the past, I know with my experience it is right, so we are too rigid in our making, that we are not flexible enough to even look at and appreciate and understand the child's experience and his position. You may be right in your whole approach, but the child may also not be wrong. That is an option which people, most of the parents sometimes miss it. And it takes little time, and if it is longer time, then there is a lot of friction, and bad experience remains. So because we depend too much on our own experience, and we don't give way to appreciate what my child is going through and understand their challenges, we only bank on our experiences, and that is where we have this challenges of parenting. And the next one is imposing our life experience on children. Then one is we depend on ours, Then next is we impose it on the children. So that means we are also hindering their growth. We are not allowing them to think freely, grow freely, and gain and find their own experiences in life. And that is a really big challenge in parenting process. Making children fulfill our unfulfilled goals of life. And this is a very common thing which I'm sure most of you must have gone through, wherein parents say that it was he's fulfilling my dreams. Well, the child can fulfill your dreams, but child should not be like that, should not be the prime thing for the child to do. So because your dreams are your dreams, and the child may have his own dreams. So this understanding, like imposition, that I want my child to be a doctor because I could not, I want him to become musician because I could not, or I wanted to, and I wanted to be a dancer, but now my son and daughter is dancing. But that is where sometimes there's a conflict of interest, and then you are actually now imposing yourself into somebody else's journey. As somebody said very beautifully, my master used to always tell us this very beautiful statement, that children are yours in the physical terms, but understand they are not yours. They are God's. They have their own journey, but they are through you. So they are mine, but they are through you. And this statement is very beautiful because journey of an individual soul is unique. But since they are through you, so you have your own obligations and responsibilities. But never like extend that into feeling that now there's an extension of your desires and unfulfilled ambitions have to materialize from them. So these are the inbuilt inherent issues in implementing the parenting problems. And as somebody was saying, let me close it with this, overcoming challenges. Now, as somebody was telling in the beginning, they're talking about how do I speak politely and all that. So art of communication, in fact, it's very important, because if you look at it, today's children have a different style of language. When I talk to my father and I talk to my children and niece and nephews, and I realize that the way they communicate, the children, if I look at different ages, you have to understand how they respond. So if the children are small, then the responsibility on the parent is larger. When the children grow up, it can become a mutual responsibility to understand and appreciate what kind of language and style of speaking should work. Then quality time, another very important time which we have already discussed. And then you have role modeling, and you have adapting to technology. Okay, so I feel just some pictures for us to say parenting is a journey of fulfillment and self-satisfaction. That's me and my children in the school. I leave you with this noble thought, and I open it now since I've crossed the time tonight. So Nita says, thank you. My children became my greatest teachers on my journey to understand that I needed to make changes within myself to become that, and to lead by example, not by making demands on them. Thank you. So if you have any suggestions or questions, I can hold on for a few more minutes as you go through this beautiful parting statement by Sri Satya Sai Baba. The higher path must be trodden from childhood. It cannot be adopted at an advanced age. The child must learn to be truthful in word and deed, and avoid the cowardly habit of falsehood. Later, boys and girls have to become conscious dictators of their senses instead of being automatic slaves. So, with these few words, I hope that this small session would inspire us to look at parenting as a fulfillment journey, as our own self discovery, as our own journey, internal journey to find fulfillment and happiness, and thereby helping our children to become fulfilled, happy beings. in whatever they do, as you have said it. So, any questions? Last call. If you have any thoughts, any questions, suggestions, you are welcome to write. And I look forward to your suggestions, and I really appreciate your feedback. And based on them, I start, I choose the topics to discuss. And I welcome you all to share this presentation. It will be on our channel. So feel free to leave your comments on the YouTube, and you can write to me separately too and share your experiences. And I hope this helped. Thank you once again, and I really, really appreciate your participation. Thank you.